Hi guys, welcome to Bed Crime Stories. Today I'm gonna jump right in. No special intro. Jackie Dobbs' name has been popping up of late in some circles. I've been talking about him a little bit because I truly believe he's been victimized by people like Jody Sue Brown, who included him in her discourse about the days leading up to Summer Wells' disappearance. Don B. had a chat with Mr. Dobbs the other day, and during the call, Jackie Dobbs revealed some interesting information. First off, Dobbs said that law enforcement hasn't told him that he can't talk to the press. He also let it be known the other day on his YouTube channel that law enforcement hasn't been in contact with him for a year or so. So that makes it seem like he's not at the top of the persons of interest list in the Summer Wells case. Dobbs also talked about June 14th of 2021 when he first turned up in Beech Creek around 4 p.m. to see the land he purchased sight unseen. He said he bought the 2-acre parcel on June 1st. Dobbs went to Beech Creek to check out his new land and even camp on it. I'm sure he was super excited to see the spot where he was planning to put a small cabin or trailer. Dobbs said the first person he encountered in Beech Creek that day was Don Wells, who was just arriving home to 110 Ben Hill Road that day, sometime before 4 p.m., and he was driving a white Sonoma pickup truck. So Don was home before 4 p.m. the day before Summer was reported missing. Jackie Dobbs also stated that he posted the photo with his dog Elvis in Beech Creek right around 4 p.m. on that day, June 14th. That would be the photo where he wrote the caption, Ben Hill Road. I find it odd that Dobbs was already thinking that it was hellish on Ben Hill Road at that point, because that would have been right before he encountered Jody Sue and Andy Bernard. So I'm not quite sure what to think of that. Don asked Jackie Dobbs what he was doing, and Dobbs said that as he spoke to Don, he noticed that Wells seemed like he had something on his mind and had a 1,000-mile stare look on his face. Dobbs wasn't sure if the look was indicative of Don being on some drugs or not. The description matches what Don's coworker, Dudley Agent, said about Don's behavior on that same day, Monday, June 14th. Take a listen to what Dudley said.
I was in the way. I've seen him. I've never seen Don this way before. He had this look on his face like something really bad happened.
See, when you say that date, what date would that be? So she went missing on that 15th when you say the Monday.
That's the 14th. That's the day I got fired that evening.
In case you didn't hear that, Dudley said that Don had a look on his face that Monday, June 14th, like something really bad happened. Now listen to how Jackie Dobbs describes Don Wells when he encountered him on June 14th, around 4 p.m.
I've been talking to Chris Cobalt, and it seemed to me that Don had something on his mind.
And this was the day before?
Yeah, the day before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he seemed like he had something on his mind. You ever see a man have like a 1,000-mile stare?
Yeah.
That's what he seemed like. He might have just been doing some good drugs. I don't know.
So if we believe Jackie Dobbs and if we believe Dudley Agent, something was definitely gnawing at Don Wells the day before Summer vanished, something that had him in deep contemplation. After chatting with Dobbs, Don drove off toward the end of Beech Creek Road. About 15 minutes after talking to Don Wells, Jackie Dobbs was confronted by Jody Sue Brown and Andy Bernard, who were, in Dobbs' words, raising hell. Dobbs theorized that after talking to him, Don must have called Brown and Bernard to alert them about his presence in Beech Creek. Dobbs was outside with a chainsaw and was cutting down trees on his new land and said he was ignoring the no trespassing signs because he knew they were BS. If Don did call Jody Sue and Andy, that tells me that Don Wells had their phone number in his contacts and that they likely did have regular communication. These were not neighbors who rarely spoke or who barely knew each other. At some point during the confrontation, Jody Sue called the police, who soon arrived and spoke to Dobbs. Jackie said that when he turned around, there was a whole gang of hillbillies, including Grandis and Candace, standing behind him. And the words "gang of hillbillies" are not my words, they're Dobbs' words. It sounds like a scene out of the movie Deliverance. Dobbs said that it was clear that he was not welcome in Beech Creek. Don B. said that he thinks the reason the other Beech Creekers were there and watching is because the cops were called. Those living in Beech Creek likely don't like having the heat turn up in their hood, according to Don B. When the police officer was supportive of the Bernards, backing them up instead of taking the time to look at the land surveys to see if Dobbs was in the right, Jackie Dobbs said he left and drove to the Roadway Inn in Church Hill. Jody Sue and Andy later hunted for Dobbs in the holler, driving everywhere they could in Beech Creek, and then looking for his truck at nearby hotels, but they failed to check out the Roadway Inn in Church Hill. Dobbs described June 14th as the craziest day he's ever experienced. On June 15th, the day Summer vanished, Dobbs said that in the morning he went out to look for biscuits and coffee, which he later consumed at the Roadway Inn in Churchill. He says that he stayed at the hotel all day and walked Elvis around the property multiple times in between calling lawyers and surveyors. It sounds like he was trying to figure out how to handle the property lines dispute with Jody Sue and Andy. Dobbs believes his walks with his dog Elvis were likely caught on a security camera. Dobbs also said that around 4 p.m. he went out to purchase a 6-pack of beer. So that's Jackie Dobbs' alibi for the day Summer went missing. Dobbs told Don B. that on June 16th, the day after Summer was reported missing, he left Tennessee to head back to his residence in Georgia. Since then, Dobbs has not been back to Beech Creek, and his 2 acres seem to be hanging in limbo. Dobbs also mentioned receiving a call from Andy Bernard, who he described as speaking to him in a very menacing tone. I'm not sure if Bernard was threatening Dobbs or why exactly he called him, but it sounds like it was another unpleasant encounter with the Bernards. Dobbs also talked about Jody Sue and voodoo. I don't know if he heard that Jody Sue may dabble in the dark arts or not, but he talked about it. I seriously doubt, though, that Jody Sue is into voodoo. She doesn't strike me as a superstitious woman. So after Dobbs got home to Georgia, he received a call from the TBI, and later 2 FBI agents showed up at his home. He said while one agent was grilling him, the other was watching his every move, analyzing his behavior. They did not confiscate his phone, and he's had no further contact with the law regarding Summer's disappearance. And Dobbs readily acknowledges that some of his behavior may have appeared odd to others, including the fact that he left Beech Creek on June 16th. But he probably would have left the holler on June 16th even if Summer hadn't disappeared, because of the horrid experience he had with Jody Sue and Andy Bernard. Dobbs describes himself as a recluse, which to me seems like he would actually have done quite well in Beech Creek if he hadn't had the misfortune of buying a parcel next to Polly Bernard's land. Sadly, Dobbs doesn't think he will ever live on the 2 acres that he spent his entire life savings on, $12,000. He said, and I quote, "I don't know if I can live there. I don't think I'd be welcome." End quote. Dobbs told Don B that he's thinking about possibly donating the 2 acres to a good cause. He also stated that the land is actually only worth $9,000, but that he really wanted the parcel, so he paid the full amount, $12K. My own feelings are that Dobbs should sell the land, get his life savings back if he can, or part of them, and try to find another beautiful area in which to live. It doesn't sound like it would be a good move financially for Dobbs to donate those 2 acres. Dobbs explained that he bought the 2-acre parcel next to the Bernards' land from one of the Morlocks. The Morlocks, like the Bernards, are a longtime Beech Creek family. In fact, it was a Morlock, Michael Morlock to be exact, who in 2019 claimed that he'd been attacked by robbers posing as stranded motorists when he was driving along Beech Creek Road. He came upon a maroon Honda with its hood up. He stopped to help and was soon robbed by criminals. That's what he alleges, anyway. Dobbs also made it clear that it's actually the Bernards who were trespassing on part of his new 2 acres to go up their driveway. It sounds like the property lines are a bit chaotic out there. So Jody Sue and Andy were both guilty of what they were accusing Jackie Dobbs of, trespassing on their land. Dobbs also talked about himself and his life. He called himself a classic loser, explaining that he doesn't feel as though he's accomplished anything great in his lifetime and hasn't made a lot of money. He's retired now and living on Social Security, but he formerly worked as a welder. Right now, he's living with his son and helping him pay the mortgage. Dobbs also mentioned YouTuber JLR and said that JLR better watch his back because one of these days he's going to get himself hurt. Now, that wasn't Jackie Dobbs threatening JLR. He said that JLR had turned up at his ex-wife's house and had scared her, and so he's feeling protective of her even though she's his ex-wife. He said he still loves her. Dobbs said the day summer is found. Sounds like he's hopeful about that. His tears will flood the land and his cries will be heard all the way to Kingsport. I'm telling you, I think Jackie Dobbs is a decent bloke in this story. It's just a feeling in my gut, intuition, but that's what I feel. Dobbs also mentioned in his call with Don B that he believes a camera somewhere in Beech Creek caught Candace Bly leaving 110 Ben Hill Road twice on the afternoon of June 15th when Summer went missing. Don B said that he'd also heard that rumor, so jot that down in your notebooks if you're keeping track of the events of June 15th. Don B has offered to go to Dobbs' 2 acres to see if a surveyor that Dobbs hired has put up any markers. He also offered to have breakfast with Jackie Dobbs at the local Hardee's and then to go and check out the land together so that Dobbs can have a positive memory of Beech Creek. I appreciate Don B's call with Dobbs because it's supplying information that I think rounds out our portrait of Jackie Dobbs and of the events that transpired on June 14th. That's all for now. I hope you found that somewhat interesting. I hope you also have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories. Now, please hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe, and if you want to support my channel, you can do so right down there in the comments.